Okay, so let's finish off Ezekiel 44, where it talks about the rules for the Levitical priest. And I'm going to read the first few verses, but I'm also going to just choose a few verses to go more into details with, because all of what's mentioned here is identical to the old rules that apply to the Levitical priest in the law of Moses. So, without just reiterating what was already written, I just want to zone into a few things. If you read it, and I am going to give you the chapters to do your comparison so that you can see that much of what is here is what was written. However, you will see that not all the rules that the Levitical priest did during Moses' time is here. For example, they they used to tend the light that was, or the lamp that was outside the tent of meeting, and every morning and evening the priest was supposed to make sure that there is light in oil in the lamp, and there is no mentioning of that here. So not all the rules and regulations mentioned in Moses' law is outlined here, and I am wondering if this is merely a synopsis that the Lord is going to expand on, because the Lord is a detailed God. Like, he goes into detail about everything, but you can see here that it's very limited. Anyways, so let's read. But the Levitical priest, the sons of Zadok, who kept the charge of my sanctuary, when the people of Israel went astray from me, shall come near to me to minister to me. And they shall stand before me to offer me the fat and the blood, declares the Lord God. They shall enter my sanctuary, and they shall approach my table to minister to me, and they shall keep my charge. So if you remember the Old Testament laws, it will outline step by step. It just says here to offer the blood, but in the Old Testament, if you read Exodus 28 is talking about the garment of the priest, maybe I didn't write down here. But if you read Leviticus and Numbers, you will see that the Lord will tell them, okay, when someone brings a sin offering, they are to sacrifice the goat or the lamb in this area, put their heads on it. So he's giving them step by step what to do. Then they bring it to the priest, who is then going to burn the fat from the intestines on the altar, and the aroma is going to go up to the Lord, and then he's going to take the blood, and so they know. So there is like, it's not giving a lot of details, and I wonder if the Lord is going to have people in the future that will receive a more detailed description of what is to take place during these times. Anyways, let's keep going. So I'm going to just go down to verse 20, and it says here, they shall not shave their heads or let their locks grow long. They shall surely trim the hair of their heads. So I want to talk about the fact that they have locks, and when you hear locks, you're thinking dreadlocks. And dreadlocks is a hair that is in the culture of it is a black culture thing. And so when the Lord says, don't let your lock grow long, and you shall not shave your head or let your lock grow long. Sorry, I'm repeating myself. And I want to talk about what's his name, Samson, because Samson had the same instructions by God, whereby in Judges chapter 13 verse 5, It says that when the angel was speaking to Manoah's wife, he said to him, "No razor shall come upon his head, for the child shall be a Nazarite." That means he is consecrated and set apart for the Lord. He shall be a Nazarite to God from the womb, and he shall begin to save Israel from the hand of the Philistine. Okay, now if you go into Judges chapter 16, verse 19, it tells you why he should not cut his hair. She made him sleep, and this is when Samson told Delilah his secret, or the secret to his strength. And it says here, she made him sleep on her knees, and she called a man and had him shave off the 7 locks. So you see that Samson also had locks. Shave off the 7 locks of his head. Then she began to torment him, and his strength left him. So the strength of Samson lied in his head. His hair, sorry, not his head. Right? And when Delilah had it cut off, his strength went away. I came across a video of apparently people who are born with dreadlocks, and their parents are like, this story, she said her kids, 3 of her kids were born with dreadlocks, and when she cut the dreadlocks, they became ill or one died. And so she stopped cutting the hair on her kid's head. So when I read this about the Levitical priest, my question is, I wonder, because it doesn't say to groom your hair into dreadlocks, okay? It's almost assume that they will be born with dreadlocks. I don't know how is that possible, to be quite honest, because today we know that to become a dread, people has to ruffle their hair and make it into that. But I do know that not everyone has to do that. I am aware of that. You can leave your hair and it becomes like a dread. So that Samson having 7 locks could simply means that he just never did anything to his hair, and it just clumped together in 7 strands, right? Or lumps. I don't know what you want to call it. Or locks. So when I read this here, I'm thinking about the Levitical priests, who are priests of the Most High God, and who has divine, they will have divine judgment, but they will also have divine abilities. And I'm wondering if their divine abilities lie in their locks, or it will lie in their locks, because it says here, do not shave your head, as the same was says to Samson, just trim it and do not let it grow long. So I find that to be very interesting. And the 2 takeaway is, will there be divine connection between their hair and their divine abilities? Will there be a connection between their divine abilities and their hair? Okay, so I'm moving on from that. So verse 24, it says, in a dispute they shall act as judges, and they shall judge in accordance to my judgments. In a dispute they shall act as judges, and they shall judge in accordance to my judgments. They shall keep my laws and my statutes in all my appointed feasts, and they shall keep my Sabbaths holy. So this is the last section that I'm going to touch on, okay? Because in the past, priests were a form of supreme court. Because when the people went into the land, Moses told them that each town need to appoint a judge to rule over the people. And I know you remember there was a point in Israel history where they had judges ruling over them. Samson was one of their judges. And so if you go into, I'm sorry, I'm always, oh goodness, this thing is getting on my nerve really. Deuteronomy 16, verse 18 to 20, and it says, "You shall appoint judges and officers in all your towns that the Lord your God is giving you according to your tribes, and they shall judge the people with the righteous judgment. You shall not pervert justice, you shall not show partiality, and you shall not accept a bribe, for a bribe blinds the eyes of the wise and subverts the cause of the righteous. Justice and only justice you shall follow, that you may live and inherit the land that the Lord your God is giving you." So there is the command to appoint judges in the land or in each town. But if there is a type of dispute that cannot be settled, then God says, go to the priest, and the priest, read it for you. If any case arises requiring decision between one kind of homicide and another, one kind of legal right and another, or one kind of assault and another, any case within your towns that is too difficult for you, then you shall arise and go up to the place that the Lord your God will choose, and you shall come to the Levitical priest and Levitical priest and to the judge who is in office in those days, and you shall consult them, and they shall declare to you the decision. And that decision was final. Whatever the verdict was, it was final. And so you have a time that is coming in which the Levitical priest will act as judges. Now, I don't think that the priest will be judge of all of Israel, because that would be too much. So I do believe that they will be in that, what do you call it again? Supreme ruling tier of being judges among the people. And this is what you will see, because, as you know, Christ is the final king of Israel. There is no more king being appointed to Israel, because this is God's people and this is his kingdom, and he is going to rule over it. And we know that he is not going to physically be there at this time. His glory will return to the temple, and he will visit on every Sabbath and on every new moon festival. But in terms of being there every day, constantly, and being present there for people to see him, to rule and reign, it is not time for that as yet. And so you see that the Lord is setting up judges in place that will rule the people according to his judgment. Okay, so that's it for the Levitical priest. And Deuteronomy 17, 8 to 13, Deuteronomy 16, 8 to 20 are some of the passages that you can look into for the rules and the regulation for the Levitical priest in the law, during the law of Moses. I also want to point out to you that in this future temple and the functioning of the people in this future temple, there is no reference to the laws of Moses, because we're in the new covenant with God's people. God is establishing a new covenant, so he's not referring them back to Moses. Whereas when they came out of exile from Babylon back to Jerusalem, you see that a lot of what was said is that according to the law of Moses, they built the altar and they consecrated it, and they built the temple according to the law of Moses. So they were operating under the law of Moses. But even then, they never had a king over them that was appointed by a Jew. And a lot of people think Herod was a Jew, but he was not. He was an Edomite that was converted into Jew and appointed by Rome. So he